In case you forgot my name, I guess. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. All praises be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessing of Iman and Islam, and the blessing to be able to meet with Ramadan, and the blessing to be able to come here again after a year, Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Hanis and team, for inviting me again. It's truly an honor, and I'm going to, take it that you guys enjoyed my presentations last year, so that's why I invited again, okay? Kasih saya short sendiri sikit, okay? So this time around, I'm going to be speaking about how to win in Ramadan. So we have about an hour, and I think within that hour we need to do Q&A as well. Okay. So I always enjoy Q&A. If you remember last year when we did that, so I look forward to that as well. So when you're listening to me, I hope you jot down some notes as well as some questions that you may be triggered by, and hopefully we can talk about those things, inshallah. So as you can see the title here, I say, how to win in Ramadan without having to lose sleep and compromise work. Now it's quite what's the word? It's not ironic, but rather it's almost like it's not an oxymoron. I can't get the word. Tadi pagi kurang sahur, jadi I can't get the word. But it's almost contradicting to say that you want to win in Ramadan, meaning you want to seize everything you can get in Ramadan, all the rewards that are available to you. But then I say, without losing sleep and without compromising work. Because it's almost understood that when a Muslim tries to give their very best in Ramadan, it means that they're not going to be sleeping the hours they normally sleep with, right? They're going to sleep less. They're going to wake up early for tahajjud, for sahur, for more, right? Everything else that causes you to stay up longer. And as a result of that, sometimes work gets compromised, meaning you come to work, you're looking sleepy, you're fatigued, you are, you feel like the whole energy in your body is being sucked out by the people around you, by the responsibilities, by the burden on your shoulders, and so on and so forth. So how do we then seize Ramadan and all its amazing rewards, and yet still not cause this to happen? I'll tell you why I created this title. Okay, I created it maybe 3 years ago. It was because of this belief that I have that just because you're fasting doesn't mean that it should cause the quality of your work to deteriorate and to drop and decline. You know what I mean? I strongly am a firm believer that in spite of you being a Muslim who fasts in Ramadan, it should actually cause your performance to either maintain or even get better. And so this is why I wanted to talk about this. It's such an important topic because everybody's observing us, Even for you guys, I mean, for us in Singapore, we are Muslim minority, and for you guys, even though you are Muslim majority, we have colleagues, we have friends, we have clients, we have customers, and everybody, like it or not, they are going to notice, right? They're gonna notice, why is this so and so a bit slow this month? Why are they less responsive this month? And why are they a bit slow, right, in replying or submitting their reports and so on and so forth? Now, it's not about being stereotypical or discriminatory against others, but it's just something that they see, and then it becomes like a pattern. And when a pattern is formed, then a judgment comes, right? And they're going to say, oh, Muslims are like that, is it? I remember traveling to Dubai a couple of years ago during Ramadan. Actually, I entered Dubai just before Ramadan, and everybody was rushing to close deals. And they said, we have to close deals now. Why? Because the moment Ramadan comes, they stop working. And so there are pros and cons, I guess. The pro is for the Muslim, wow, you get to really dedicate the entire month without having to go to office because you get to take a break. In some countries, the last 10 days, they say no need to work, public holiday, things like that. We may not have that luxury, but what can we still do? Does it mean that we're losing out? Does it mean that we are at a disadvantage? I disagree, okay? There are still many things you can do in Ramadan that can earn you tremendous rewards even without causing you to lose your sleep, inshallah. All right, are you ready? All right, so next slide. The challenges that stand in your way towards victory. Basically, you are here at point A, and this is point B, victory, and there are many things standing in your way. Okay, what are those things? We need to identify them before we can achieve what we set out to do. Yesterday I released some content. In fact, I'm releasing content every day. I have newsletters, video reels, podcasts, and a bunch of posts on social media. It's everywhere, inshallah. And one of the key points I raised on day one was about intention. When you set intention, I want this Ramadan to be better than all the Ramadans I've had. I want this Ramadan more meaningful. I want it to be more impactful to those around me. Right? If you set an intention, you need to follow up with a lot of things. And the first thing, in my opinion, is to identify all the things, the people, the items, that are standing in the way between you and that goal, inshallah. Next slide. So, what is fasting? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may have piety. But piety can be translated and interpreted in many ways. Some of the common interpretations would be piety is taqwa, taqwa is fear of Allah, fear of God, right? Piety, if you define it further, perhaps in your Friday sermons here, the Imam also would say in the opening, bertakwalah kamu dengan melaksanakan segala perintah Allah dan menjauhi segala larangannya, right? That's how you break it down. You define piety as you performing everything that Allah asks you to do and staying away from everything that He has prohibited upon you. But what does that also entail? In one of the translations that I read, taqwa is self-restraint. Self-restraint involves self-control. You control yourself, you control the decisions you make, the words you speak, the movements you make, the actions you take, all of those things, right? All the decisions you make is based on how well you are able to control yourself. So this, in summary, is mastery of the self. So here, I break it down into 4 things. The first 3 are, number 1, time management. Identify your white spaces for each day and set a maximum of 3 things that you wish to accomplish. 3 things sound like a lot, or they sound intimidating only if you set huge ones, right? But you could set 3 simple ones. Like today you say, I want to read 1 page of the Quran, I want to learn 1 new dua, and I want to read this zikr 100 times. Done, done, done. All of those things are very easy to do and doable and achievable in a day amidst your busy schedule. And if you identify the right kind of dhikr and the right kind of dua, and they can actually be worth a lot, right? Because some of those dhikrs that the Prophet ﷺ taught us, they are worth a lot more than the others. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, Kalimatan khafifatan ala lisan. There are 2 words/phrases that are light on the tongue. Thaqilatan ala al-mizan, but they are very heavy on the weighing scale on the Day of Judgment. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. Right? Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. It's so easy to say. It ends in 2 seconds, but then they weigh heavily on the Day of Judgment. So if you identify by studying, you need to study, you need to read, you need to attend classes, you need to have a teacher whom you refer to as your main mentor and resource person, then you can always leverage on those white spaces. The white spaces are basically the empty spaces during your day. I'll give you an example. Here, I think it's more prominent, right? Because for you to get to work from wherever you live, it's going to take a while. And with the traffic in the morning and so on, and traffic back home, at least minimum half an hour, right? Sometimes you can get to an hour. So during that period, what can you do? You may not be able to take out your mushaf and read because you're driving, right? I don't know, some of you dah pro kan boleh buat macam gitu kan, but I wouldn't recommend, okay? I want you to celebrate Hari Raya with family, okay? But at least you could listen to an Islamic lecture, or you could listen to your favorite surah, or you could listen to an interpretation of a surah that you are learning this month, right? That's your big theme. Oh, this month I want to learn Surah Yusuf. This month I want to learn Surah Yasin and all its meanings, for example. Right? So those are examples of white spaces. White spaces could even be lesser than that, like waiting for me to come in just now. You were seated there, what were you doing? Apart from TikTok. Saat TikTok saya dengar ceramah-ceramah saja. Okay, baiklah. Right? So whatever you do, make use of all those white spaces. What else? Waiting for the lift to arrive, waiting for your Grab to arrive, waiting for your food. Just now I saw my friends posting that they went to the bazaar here nearby. They had to wait half an hour for one of the shops, very popular. So in that half an hour, what could you do? So think, when you're conscious, you will end up doing more productive things. Number 2, people management. This one is a bit challenging, yeah? People have different personalities and they have different mood swings, and sometimes as a result of that, it affects your mood. It affects your how you feel, and then this may affect the rewards that you get in Ramadan, wouldn't it? Like if somebody always annoys you, even outside of Ramadan, to the point where sekarang ni tengok muka dia pun dah menyampah macam menyerap je darah tengok muka dia kan. Like if that is the case, in Ramadan you should try to control yourself. Number one. Number two, perhaps if there is a way that you minimize contact with some people, then you do that, if you can. I know some of you would come to me, but Ustaz, I live with my parents and they are always hard on me and they say hurtful things towards me every single day. Well, you can't run away from your parents, but you could perhaps just change the conversation to something else, or bring them something so that they focus on the things that you brought them, like nice food and drinks and so on and so forth. Or go into your room and say, I nak baca Quran, nak beribadah, don't disturb me for a while, whatever it is. I mean, and do it lah, and you're not lying, you're doing it. So managing people is tough because they are not you, and they can only control themselves, you can only control yourself. So people management ultimately goes back to you sebenarnya. It actually is about you deciding, okay, the next time I see this person, I'm not going to let them trigger me anymore with their words. I'm not going to let them hurt me with their actions. I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be stronger. As you know, Ramadan is a time when we try to control our emotions. When the Prophet ﷺ saw a man, who was being confronted by another, and then they got into an argument, and he said, the next time it happens, say, Inni sa'im, I'm fasting. And this is more a reminder to yourself than it is to the other person. Okay? So that's number two, people management. Number three is expectation management. Expectation management is realistic expectations to deter anger, to stay away from confrontation, to be distant from temptations. We in life we get disappointed a lot because of the expectations that we have. Expectations on people, on traffic, on the economy, on many things. We expect things to happen a certain way, but then they don't end up the way you expected them to. It could be your colleague, it could be your boss, it could be your subordinate, it could be your client, it could be anyone. And when you set expectations so high, and then they don't meet your expectations, it affects your mood. And then you get angry. And when you get angry, you may say things or do things that might cause you to lose some of those rewards in Ramadan. And that's what we don't want to happen. Correct? Hello, everyone? Yeah. Okay. Do you need coffee? Some of you look like you need coffee, Okay. I musafir, I boleh minum. Jangan jealous. Number three. Oh, sorry. Just now was three. The next one is 4 items. So the 3 elements that we need to be aware of are, number 1, the spirit. Number 2, the heart. Number 3, the mind. So ladies and gentlemen, the spirit, right, is always good. And the spirit is always willing to be good too. To do more. Like, I want to read the Quran more. I want to donate to charities more. I want to spend time with my loved ones more. The spirit is always willing. But the challenge is to remain consistent. March, you may have had New Year's resolutions, Azam Tahun Baru, and then you were doing it consistently. Boleh istiqamah sampai January 27th, terus hilang semua, right? You lost everything. You lost momentum because maybe something happened, or you got distracted, or too much work, or whatever. Something may have happened along the way, and now you're no longer there. I'm going to ask you right now, but do you still want to do good to your family? But you still want to spend quality time with your children and your parents? But you still want to read the Quran? But you still want to attend religious classes? All of you would definitely say, yes, Ustaz, I want. Tapi benar, tapi tak ada masa. Tapi itulah, susah lah. Orang-orang yang saya nak ajak ni semua tak nak ikut, semua tak nak layan. Family pun tak berikan semangat. Like, there's always a tapi, there's always a but. Okay, so I want all of you to acknowledge first and foremost that you are not bad people. Just because you're missing out doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And the same with others around you lah. Jangan you judge orang pula. Tengok ni aku baca Quran, orang kawan sebelah aku ni main game pula. Jangan judge orang lain. Let them be. Right? Maybe they have their own struggles. Maybe they have finished reading more and now they're taking a break. Right? You can always have husnul zan and assume well of others. Right? So I want you to first of all recognize that you are a good person. Now, why is this important? Because I know a lot of people, they give up doing good things because they cakap, Ustaz, saya tak layak lah. I'm not good enough. Saya banyak sangat dosa. Saya banyak sangat kesilapan. So they focus on their wrongs, they focus on their past, without realizing that Allah is the most forgiving, and Allah is more ready to forgive you than you are to forgive yourself. And in this month especially is the month where the doors of paradise are open, which means what? Which means He wants to forgive, He wants to pardon, He wants to invite and welcome more and more of you into His paradise, which means mercy and forgiveness. So do not look down on yourself for too long. That is the trick of shaitan. Shaitan sekarang, وَصُفِّلَتِ الشَّيَاطِينَ, they are chained, okay? So keep them there. Don't allow them to continue influencing you, okay? Number two is the mind. So the mind will be challenged with distraction after distraction and to defeat every excuse that comes up, okay? So you want to challenge every excuse that comes up, saying that, tapi semalam dah tahajud, hari ni tak payahlah, right? Tapi semalam my intention was to donate 5 ringgit every day. Semalam orang tu I terkasih 10. So hari ni tak payahlah. Kan dah kasih yang semalam punya dah kira dah counted lah. You know, like, there are too many excuses. You're being too petty over too many things. Right? This is the month where, if, let's say, you are a professional, right? Remember the topic just now, the subtopic? You are professional, you're busy, you're occupied most of the time. And if somebody comes to you and giving you an opportunity to earn an extra reward, why not just give it to them? Because this is not going to cost you time. It's just going to cost you a bit of your money. And of course, if you have the means. So there are going to be many distractions lah. I think today we live in an age where this is the most distractions humanity has ever had, right? Probably it's gonna get worse, okay? Lepas ni ada the what? The VR goggles and all those things. What do you call it? Apple Vision Pro, thank you. So like all of those things, like after this we'll all be walking and you think I'm staring blankly at you, but actually I'm watching a show, you know, on my glasses. I have a friend who works in Meta, so he gets all the latest gadgets. So he wears a glass just like mine, but he says, Ustaz, I'm looking at things, it's giving me information, everything here. She got, wow, really cool, right? So do you think people are going to be more focused or more distracted? Right? We are going to have a problem trying to focus and attain the goals that we set for ourselves. So now, please use the power of your mind by removing distractions and then focusing on the things that matter the most to you in Ramadan. Number 3 is the heart. The heart is tough, because we know that the Prophet ﷺ said, in our body there is one piece, one clot of blood, that if it's good, then everything else will be good. But if it's corrupted, then everything else will be corrupted. So how do you ensure your heart is always protected when there are so many external influences trying to bring it down, trying to make you feel horrible about yourself, trying to remind you of a past, trying to make you feel that you are unworthy of love, of appreciation, of recognition, and so on? And how does the heart keep going? Well, the fact that all of you are still here, it means that you guys survived. All the attacks, right? All the doubts that people place towards you. They say, I don't think you can make it, right? You know, see, you can't even manage your family at home, you know, your marriage is failing, how can you do well at work? Things like that, very hurtful things. But it is what it is, you know, and the heart will always be challenged with a wave of emotions, okay? And this is, sometimes we cannot anticipate. We think today is going to be a normal day, suddenly something happened, a client threatened to like pull out or something, or, you know, it's a crisis, it's one of the, you know, in the media, somebody complained, made it public, then you have to fix that. Oh man, I thought it was going to be a normal day. In the end, something like that happens and you have to deal with it and fix it. So the heart is like, oh man, a roller coaster ride, okay? But the fourth element is the body, okay? So now in the month of Ramadan, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I would like all of you to manage your physicality, okay? Manage your body as much as you can by ensuring that it gets what it needs. So there are several things that the body needs, right? The body needs nutrition, the body needs rest. So in Ramadan, we only have sahur and iftar. So during sahur, please take the right amount of food intake and beverages that you need. Here's the thing. I've heard people all sorts of tips. You Google and you find so many websites telling you, this is the best meal to take during sahur. This is the best meal to take during iftar. I've tried them all and I think you need to know your body. And you might have a very unique requirement than mine, than everyone else's in this room. And I know some people, they can survive every day. They work really hard. They makan kurma 3 biji dengan air putih je. Like, that's it. But they're like, okay. They they don't look like they're famished or they're tired or they can't focus. Tak, dia okay je. Tapi kalau you kasih orang lain, tak boleh, lembik. So that person needs what? Nasi goreng. Kan pagi-pagi. So people need different things. So you need to know yourself, you need to know your body, you need to know your needs. Okay? The second thing that you need to know about yourself is actually sleep. Now, I just turned 40 last year. Boo. Okay? So, rasa tua. Okay. Anyway, so I just turned 40 last year and I realized that sleep is very, very important. Right? Oh, sleep is important, man. It's the way for you to recharge your body. Dulu, when I was like 25 and started my own company, I could like work until 2 a.m. in the morning, bangun pukul 6, like all start balik, like there was nothing, like it was nothing. So today I realized I can't do that anymore. My body will crash. Minum lah kopi berapa cawan pun it doesn't work, So I realized that I need proper sleep. And I think this applies again with everyone in different age groups. In fact, different gender also. Studies show that women may need actually more sleep than men. Do you like that? Women need more sleep. Ramai yang angguk, women need more sleep than men. So, one thing that Islam has taught us in terms of the Sunnah is that the Prophet ﷺ used to do qaylula. So what is qaylula? Qaylula is actually short naps during the daytime. And he would often do this right before Zohar. Okay? So, HR kena create a new policy, qaylula policy. Okay? Kasih staff tidur, at least during Ramadan lah, kan? Kasih chana. So that they can take a short nap. Half an hour can be a powerful power nap also. That can give you enough recharge. Terus segar, cuci muka, ambil wudu, talat, and then you can go. Right? Try it. Okay? Nutritious meals, again. So what are you eating every day, every night? Kan? You kadang-kadang you feel so famished that you rasa diri you ni deserve different desserts nanti time iftar later, right? And you want to buy everything that you see at the bazaar later, kan? You grab je everything. Lagi-lagi nampak macam murahnya, ambil je lah, ambil. Mana tahu malam-malam pukul 11 lapar nak makan ke apa, kan? It's like you're good at convincing yourself why you should buy more, right? And then you just gobble everything up. And then what happens? It affects your ability to do ibadah. Because then you feel sleepy. Then you feel more lethargic. And then you duduk sekejap je baca, baru buka Quran first page, mata dah, beratnya mata, ya Allah. Why? Because you didn't watch what you ate. The quantity and the portion also matters. Okay? And positive reinforcements, gratitude. I mean, this is something, it's not necessarily physical, it's more spiritual. But be grateful that you have your health. And that's a big thing, I recently visited some people in Singapore who were very, very unwell, very sick. And some of them are young, but unfortunately, because of certain things, they are now hospitalized, they are bedridden, they can't go to work anymore. It's really sad to see these situations. We have a lot to be grateful for, simply just because you are healthy and you are well. Okay? Okay, next slide. Your relationship with the Quran. Next slide. So the states and phases of your relationship. I would like you to, Next. Yep. Okay, so I don't know where you are with your relationship with the Quran. Are you in early stages or are you in the advanced stages in the Quran relationship? If not, look at the one at the extreme right, which is competency. Let's say sekarang you masih rasa malu, Ustaz, umur saya dah 35, baca Quran masih merangkak. It's okay. It means that competency-wise is still rather low. But nobody should be ashamed wanting to learn. Today you have so many Quran teachers who can either come over to you, or there's a center near your house, or virtually online, and they can teach you. And if you are committed to learning, all you need is about twice a week, half-an-hour lessons or 1-hour lessons. I tell you, you're good to go within 3 months. You can read more confidently on your own, inshallah. So don't worry about that. Number 2 is the frequency. Increase the frequency from reading sebulan sekali, sekarang seminggu sekali, and then 2-3 hari sekali, and then it becomes an everyday ritual. Once it becomes a fixed routine, it will be awkward for you not to open the Quran and read it. Okay? So reading it ni ada double meaning lah. You either read it in its Arabic text. Of course, you akan dapat pahala, as the Prophet ﷺ said, every harf is 10 rewards. But reading it to me is also understanding the meaning of the Quran, because there's a message there. meant for you to reflect, kan? Kalau kita baca tapi tak pernah nak menghayati isi kandungan Al-Quran, it will not have the exact effect it was intended to have on you. Trust me. Okay? Yes, Ustaz, saya boleh menangis. Saya dengar imam baca sedap, saya boleh menangis. Ya, kalau imam baca tak sedap, nangis juga Ustaz, sebab bila nak habis ni dah baca kan. So you menangis, okay, tapi maybe it's not the exact right reason. You want to be able to have your heart moved because you understand what he's reading about. Okay, you may not know word for word, but ni surah ni lah, I remember this surah, I learned this surah before. Just that, and it's more than enough, right? Number 3 is learning. Okay, so again, I mentioned that sign up for something. Number 4 is reflections, and there are several classes. I used to teach a class for 7 or 8 years. It's called Quranic Studies for Life, and all that class does is we go through surah by surah, and we run through different tafsirs, but I simplify it for the audience, and I try to relate it back to life issues. So it's called Quranic Studies for Life. Okay, so try to find something like that here in KL that you can learn and benefit from. And lastly, habit. Start a long-term habit of reading, learning, reflecting, and sharing. So mudah-mudahan from building your competency and increasing the frequency and then learning from someone and reflecting on the verses, eventually it becomes a habit. Next. Multiplied rewards. So I want to encourage you, these are motivations, okay? That there are so many things that you can actually look forward to, right? For every word that you read, for every harf, for every letter that you read, there is 10. So if you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. You kira lah pelan-pelan. Alif, lam, ha, mim, dal. There's so many. And everything times 10. Isn't that easy to earn? It is easy. So this is what I mean by you don't need to sacrifice so much of your sleep in order to earn a lot of rewards in Ramadan. Number 2, double for your trouble. So I'll summarize. This second hadith is actually about orang-orang yang baca Quran merangkak. The Prophet ﷺ said, anybody who reads easily, they will get reward. But anybody who struggles and yet persists to read, they will get double the reward. So for example, kalau saya baca smooth macam tadi, dan awak macam merangkak-merangkak slow, then awak actually dapat 2 kali ganda pahala. Best tak? Best ke tak? Best kan? Jadi tak payah belajar lah, just forever merangkak lah. Boleh Zati? Forever merangkak, no. Number 3, salvation. Fasting in the Quran will one day, di hari kiamat nanti, dia akan jadi syafaat untuk kita. Kan? Nanti bila kita dah di padang mahsyar nanti, ini 2 ni akan datang, they will come and they will try to intercede. They will say, oh Allah, this person did not sleep at night. Okay? And he read me, baca Quran sepanjang malam. Please allow me to give shafa'ah. And then the fasting will say, Allah, this person did not eat and drink during the day, sacrificed. Please allow me to intercede. And Allah, and the Prophet ﷺ said, for you shafa'an. And both of them were allowed to give shafa'ah to this individual. So you may be worried, alamak, nanti ke akhirat nanti siapa nak tolong aku? You don't have to worry if you read the Quran, okay? And you don't have to worry if you maintain your fasting in Ramadan, inshallah. Next. Your progress with Salat. Next. So what should you be working on? Okay. So there are a few things here. Again, look at it in the manner that we looked at the Quran relationship earlier, the stages. Okay. So it starts off with number 1, the proper prayer on the left side. Technique of how to pray properly. Again, last weekend I did a workshop for I think like 40 or 50 men in Singapore. Dikirakan imam in Muazzin punya workshop. So a lot of these men, they've been married, but they've never actually became the imam for their own wife or their own kids. Kenapa? Tak ada confidence. So all they needed to do was attend that workshop, and learn how to. Okay, so for some of you, it's not that you don't know how to pray, but you don't know how to be an imam. So maybe for the gentleman here, that's something you may want to consider. Okay, and for the rest of you, it's just general knowledge. Maybe there are some things you always doubt, tapi lupa nak tanya. Kan, bila terserempak dengan ustaz nak tanya something, saya lupa je. Kan, So what are those key issues that you always are unsure about? Okay, so when you go to a class, you can always ask those questions. Number two, discipline prayers. Discipline here means timely and consistent. Timely means you do it on time lah. Okay, do it on time. Don't miss your prayers. The second one is consistent and full time. Because some people, they start off praying, start Alhamdulillah, tahun lepas saya dah start sembahyang balik. Alhamdulillah, tahniah, bagus. Tapi sekarang saya sembahyang part time, Ustaz. Apa sembahyang part time? Satu hari 2 kali, satu hari 3 kali, tengoklah Ustaz mood macam mana, kan? Okey lah, tak apa. Yang penting awak solat, kan? Of course, it almost sounds blasphemous for an Ustaz to say, okay, tak apalah, kan? I'm not okaying that person. I'm just saying, please keep it up. Hopefully one day you become a full-timer, right? Rather than kita kutuk dia, dia dah lari daripada agama, dia lari daripada solat, dia tak nak buat apa-apa, right? So, you want to work towards discipline. Number 3, once you are disciplined with the 5 daily prayers, the main ones that you must do, now look at what are the extra prayers that you can try. Extra prayers ni banyak. Solat-solat sunat, ba'diyah, qabliyah, and then ada solat duha, and then ada solat tahajud. Like, look at what's good for you, what's easy for you. If you are a morning person, you are the first to wake up in the house. You wake up at 5 a.m. Your body is like an alarm clock. It automatically gets up at 5. You try to go back to sleep, tak boleh. Paksa, tak boleh tidur balik. You're up at 5. Then why not? This is the time for you to do tahajud, and then sahur sekali, and then that's it. You know, easy rewards, right? Next, after you're done with that, you add all the sunnah prayers. Maybe a next challenge would be how to attain khusyuk. So higher performance of prayer. So what is khusyuk? Khusyuk literally means to be humble. Okay, to be humble before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you stand in front of Him, you humble yourself. That's when you attain full focus and full presence during salah. People think that khusyuk is focus. But focus is the result of you being able to put yourself humbly in front of Allah, recognizing your weakness, recognizing your imperfections, recognizing your flaws and your weaknesses and your sins and mistakes. When you know all of that and you know that He knows all of that, it should cause you to bow down humbly in front of Him. And that will result in khusyuk, inshallah. Got it? So those are the stages, ladies and gentlemen, how you build up your relationship with salah. So you know your level. Be calm and efficient where you are. And for example, you are still learning, tak apa. Stay there, learn slowly, one day at a time until you get to the next level. But always strive to be better. Next. So if we were to look at our time, 24 hours a day, and then you minus off the hours that you sleep, and then you minus off the hours you spend at work, right? How much time do you have left for family, for example? This is often a conversation when we talk about work-life balance. Work-life balance is often perceived as, if you already have a family, then it's family and work. If you don't have a family, then it's me time and work. And that's often how people look at it. But to me, even when you have family and you have work, you still need your me time. True or not true? Or else you go crazy. So you need your me time as well. If you have really young kids, they're always going to cling on to you, right? Or you are married to a baby husband who's always clingy. Sorry for you, okay? But there needs to be that balance. But balance is not always 50-50. I think I said this last year. Balance is not always 50-50. For some of you, it's work is going to take up 60% of your time. And it's not, I'm not even exaggerating, it could be even more. Why? Because if I were to argue that, yes, you are in the office from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 5 p.m., but on your way to work, you're thinking about work. And on your way back home, you're thinking about work. And the moment you sit down to have dinner with your family, you think about work. Faham tak? Technically, work takes up a lot more of your time. So how much time do you really have left? Okay? So I want you to think about that. Okay? Kalau lah you have scraps to work with, macam Ustaz, nampaknya macam ada half an hour je before I fall asleep. Ustaz, half an hour, you can do a lot. You can read one page of the Quran, you can read a dua, you can read a dhikr, you can make istighfar, you can make salawat to the Prophet ﷺ. You can go online and make an online donation to an orphanage or a mosque or whatever. Done. Half an hour, good. Now we can rest. Kan? I think even when you salat Jemaah dengan family pun, that's quality time. And that will be rewarded accordingly. Okay, next. What can you add gradually to your prayers? Okay, so these are all the sunnah prayers. I'll share the slides and you can have it. So like Sunnah Subuh is really big, the reward. Zuhur before and after, Maghrib after, Isha after, and then there's Witir that we do in Ramadan, but you can continue to do it outside. And Tahajjud, which is something you can start this Ramadan and then you can continue because you're already waking up for sahur. Next. Your increase in giving. Just now when I was coming up the lift, I asked Hanis about what she's in charge of, and of course she said one of it is CSR, right? So you think about giving back. Ramadan is probably the busiest time, but of course ideally you want to spread it lah. Because I want you to imagine you are in the shoes of the beneficiaries, the recipients. Cakap, 11 months I don't see you. I see you once. But an increase in givings. But nonetheless, you know what people say about the Prophet ﷺ? They said that the Prophet ﷺ was the most generous. Ajwadun nas. Okay? But he was even more generous in Ramadan. So if you consider yourself to be fairly generous, in Ramadan you definitely have to double up. Okay? You have to do more, inshallah. Next slide. So the most charitable in Ramadan was our Prophet ﷺ. Let's try to be just like that. Ask yourself who needs the most help. Don't overcomplicate things, okay? So whatever that you are doing in KWAP is that, but maybe you need to set personal goals in terms of giving back to, okay? Ask yourself who needs the most help. Ada tak jiran-jiran, ahli keluarga yang sedang memerlukan bantuan? Whatever form, whatever amount. Just before I went on stage, tadi ada orang message Ustaz, saya ada kenal orang yang sedang berhutang, and can I use my zakat to give it to that person? What do you think? Boleh ke boleh? Boleh ke tak boleh? Boleh ke tak boleh? You cakap boleh, cakap tak boleh, so macam mana? Saya kena decide. So one of the asnaf of zakat is orang yang berhutang. But cuma for me, I would analyze dia hutang sebab apa? Right? Kalau dia hutang because they have not been able to pay their electricity bills, it's about to get cut off or something. Or their children might be kicked out of the school because they've not been paying their fees. Something along those lines, I would help them. Tapi kalau it's because they paid an expensive 20,000 ringgit European holiday and on credit card and now cannot pay back, that one I would rethink lah whether I want to. It's like I'm sponsoring their holiday pula. Aku yang belum pergi, dia dah bayar orang lain. So, think about who needs help the most. And sometimes you don't have to look too far. We tend to miss the people closest to us. Yang dekat-dekat ni macam, when something's so close to you, okay, this is not a good example, but for those who wear glasses, you can relate, right? Like I once, right, I wore glasses and had several meetings that day. And then when I look in the mirror, there was actually a long, one of my hair dropped and it was a long one. It was like covering the entire, but I couldn't see it because it was too close. You understand what I mean? When something is too close, you cannot see. So I felt silly lah, macam kau tak ada orang tegur ke sepanjang hari, okay? But the point I'm trying to make here is, maybe your cousin, maybe your makcik, maybe your pakcik, maybe someone close by, maybe jiran sebelah rumah, maybe your best friend, maybe your colleague at work, maybe someone close by needs help, okay? And of course, help here, don't just think of it in the form of money. It could be that they need a listening ear, they need a shoulder to cry on, they need a confidant. Be that friend to that person who is in need this Ramadan. When I go to some of these orphanages, diorang dah tak nak lagi dah mainan ke, buku-buku ke, alat menulis ke, pakaian ke. They have just too many people give it to them, right? You know what? They enjoy your company. I datang, semua berkerumun, semua nak main-main, semua Ustaz ni. Tanya soalan, So it's last year I had an experience in Ramadan. I went there and, they just wanted to chat, just wanted to talk, and it was kesian lah, tengok keadaan diorang, but think about how you can be of help, okay? Alright, next. Okay, this one last, tapi actually the most important in my opinion, okay? So let's say you cannot pray Tarawih every night. Just cannot. Balik rumah, your house chores, your children are crying, your parents are unwell, you need to take care of people and yourself. Cannot. You just can't. Right? And you don't have extra funds because your emergency funds are drying up, and hospital bills, blah blah blah. Right? So many things. You don't have time to go for classes. Ada lah macam-macam, and it's valid reasons, not mere excuses. But if there's one thing you can work on, no excuses, is to work on your character. Okay? To aim to be a better person, to be kinder, to be gentler, to be more respectful, right? To be more loving, to be more courteous, to be more thoughtful, to be more considerate, right? Can or cannot? Wouldn't that make a difference? Now think about this, okay? Think about somebody. I'm not trying to belittle or make fun of anyone, okay? But think of somebody who prayed Tarawih every night without missing a single day, and somebody who manages to read the Quran from cover to cover, okay, throughout Ramadan. Big achievements, right? Big achievements. But when they meet people, they never smile, they don't talk nicely to others, they look down on people. Do you think that's the output of somebody who reads the Quran every day? Do you think that should be the result and the outcome of somebody who prays in the mosque every night? If you ask me, I would say, unfortunately, that's not. I'm not going to be the judge to say that pahala dia semua tak dapat. That one is between them and Allah is most merciful, and sometimes He may still give. But the character is the thing that everyone sees and everyone hears and everyone feels, right? So this applies to your relationships with Muslims and non-Muslims, to people you know and people you don't know, to your clients externally and to your internal staff. It applies to everyone, all the relationships you have across the board, right? You will be judged ultimately by that. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Aqrabukum minni majlisan yawm al-qiyamati," the closest to be seated beside me on the day of judgment, ahasinukum akhlaqa, the ones who have the most beautiful character. Okay? I would stretch a little bit more and say even to animals. So be kind to animals, be kind to the environment. All of these things apply the same. All right? Next. Okay, a little bit more, then we can do our Q&A. So what are a few small steps you can take today which will have maximum impact on your life? Number one, quitting an old addiction. So what are you quitting this year? It's not just about what are you adding, but what are you removing. Okay? Have you guys seen the meme about, you boycott McDonald's, boycott KFC, you tak boycott lagi satu tu ke? Nampak tak? You don't know what meme I'm talking about. It's like, ni boleh boycott, ni tak boycott. You don't know what I'm talking about? You don't know what's the last item? Okay, you go find it. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to ruin the meme. Okay? No more overspending, no more pornography, no more smoking. Actually, smoking is it? No more excessive TV watching, no more binge eating. What is it? Which one? Which one is your problem? Which one is your challenge? Because all of us are tested differently. Our temptations are all different. Something that might tempt you might not tempt me at all, and something might tempt me might not tempt you. So know yourself. Second, beginning a new practice. So just now we stop something, now we start something. For example, every day or every night or every morning perhaps when you wake up, list down all the blessings that Allah has given you. Be grateful for what you have. Number two, talk to your family more often, call them. Some of you, I know you live far away from your parents, far away from your siblings. Text them and call them. If you have kids, read stories of the prophets to your children. Get them to know who they are. They love listening to stories. Your kids will never complain, right? Number four, learn a new hadith, just a suggestion. Number five, donate to a new mosque every time you visit. And lastly, process information. Knowledge that we've learned in the past or in the future, make it a point to reflect upon them. Seek meaning and a deeper understanding with the guidance of a qualified teacher. You may have a bunch of notes at home from many, many different classes you've been to, but you never revisit them. Those, to me, it's quite wasteful, because if only you were to look back on some of those old notes and revisit them, suddenly, oh yeah, I remember this, oh yeah, I remember that. oh yeah, now this happens to be relevant now. That time, maybe 10 years ago when you were writing down the notes, tak relevant langsung, tak apalah tulis je. And today you open it like, wow, this hits me right in the face, man. I'm going through this right now. So that's the value of looking back at all notes and all classes and all books that you've read and learned from. Okay? Next. So if you wake up for sahur, double up rewards for performing it closer to subuh, because the sunnah is to do sahur late and iftar early. Okay? Iftar early, I don't think you guys have a problem. Allahu Akbar. Right? But when it comes to Fajar, some of you, pernah nak bangun, tak apalah kita sahur pukul 12 malam. Okay? Sah ke tak sah? Sah lah. Tapi it's not recommended. Okay? Number two, if you share your meal during iftar, the Prophet ﷺ said that if, let's say, I choose to belanja someone iftar today, I will get that person's fasting reward juga. Isn't it nice? I puasa, one person's reward I get, but I get his reward too because I belanja dia makan, I belanja dia minum. Without that person losing any of their rewards. It's not that I'm stealing it, I'm just getting a carbon copy, a duplicate of his rewards I get to keep as well. So now I want you to think, be more creative. What if you boleh belanja 10 orang makan? What if you can belanja one family? You know your relatives punya address, sekarang dah boleh order Grab food ke apa benda kan? Just ting tong, ada makanan. Tak payah nak cakap pun daripada you kan? Just kasih, right? The last one, if you stay away from unnecessary arguments. This is probably one of the harder things to do, but the bigger reward, inshallah. In today's context, it's probably more likely that you get into arguments on social media. You don't even have to leave the house to get into arguments. You can stay at home and get into a fight on Twitter. Twitter is a fun place to watch people fight and argue. Okay, last. 6 life-changing questions to ask yourself. Next slide, please. What are the unmet goals of past Ramadans? So maybe last year you said you were going to go to an orphanage tapi tak dapat pergi. 2 years ago you said you wanted to read 3 juzuk of the Quran but you were not able to. 3 years ago you said you want to hafal a new surah but you weren't able to. Just look back at those and then just try again. Who says you have to like scrap everything and start with a set of new goals? No one. You can always revisit, especially now if you think you have a bit more competency and a bit more time perhaps, or you have a buddy that can support you in this journey. Wallahu a'lam, right? Number 2, at which hour of the day do you find yourself most spiritually charged? You know this. Ada orang dia morning people, pagi-pagi tu macam segar, datang office, dia boleh, buat solat duha dulu and everything semua, like good. Alhamdulillah, very good. But for some people, that's not a great time. Lagi-lagi, Ustaz, tak dapat minum kopi pagi, kan? Macam very weak, right? So you know yourself. So maybe you lagi semangat waktu malam, then waktu malam dah you do more, okay? Number 3, what are deeds that you could do even when you're super exhausted? Bayangkan you dah macam flat on your bed. What can you do? You can, tadi I cakap apa? You can scroll the mushaf and read something. Or you can listen to someone reading the Quran. Or you could go to a page where they are seeking donations and you can just click a few buttons and then that you have donated an amount, right? Number 4, what are your top 3 distractions to doing more ibadah? Your phone, notifications. Ustaz, boleh tak saya cakap my boss? My boss is a distraction. Okay. Number 5, do you find yourself to be more motivated when you're alone or when you're around other people? Oh, this is a big one actually. Some of us, right, we cannot be on our own. When we are on our own, kita banyak buang masa. Kita tidur, kita main game, kita watch Netflix, like tak boleh. We need people around us. Semangat sama-sama solat Jumaat, sama-sama pergi masjid. Like we are more motivated when we're together. Tapi orang lain. Dia kalau dengan orang, dia very distracted. Dia tengok, dia ni sembahyang tak betul lah. Dia ni bacaan dia tak betul. Dia distracted dengan orang yang ibadah, right? So they need to be alone. So know yourself again. Number 6, what are the common excuses you give yourself? Okay. So next one. Yeah, this is the last one. Planning to succeed, sticking to a routine and allowing your body and your mind to adapt. So brothers and sisters, we're still early days in Ramadan. Choose a routine and then stick with it, and then be happy if you can have istiqamah and maintain all the way till the end of Ramadan. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to your questions. Assalamu alaikum. Ini namanya tepuk tangan orang puasa.